Hey folks, it's Dave Smith at Correctional Officer Lifestyle coming to you with a video about use force topics. This one is about knowing the difference between deadly force situations and non-lethal force situations. Basically, deadly force is any force that is likely to cause great bodily harm or death. I believe that is universal throughout the world as to being true. Non-lethal force is force that is necessary to accomplish the mission, but is not likely to cause great bodily harm or death. So, you gotta know when to use either one. And a lot of that is based in correctional officer judgment. Okay? If you are in a situation and an inmate has risen to the level where he is actively trying to cause you or another great bodily harm or trying to kill you, you might want to consider your options, and lethal force being one of them. Deadly force being one of your options, okay? Now, if it's a situation where you are in superior physical condition, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster, the inmate can't fight and you can, you're going to have a lot of problems justifying the use of lethal force. Whereas if the roles are reversed, inmate's bigger, inmate's stronger, inmate's faster, inmate knows how to fight better than you do, and the inmate is actively trying to kill you, you can explain why lethal force was necessary in that situation. Okay? If an inmate is trying to escape the custody of your facility and you have every reason to believe that he is duly and properly incarcerated by the will of a judge and a jury of his peers, then you are authorized to utilize lethal force to stop that escape from happening. I'm pretty sure that's universal across the world. Okay? If you have an inmate that says no when you order him to submit to hand restraints and he pulls the hand away when you try to get him in handcuffs, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do if you kill that inmate or if you try to kill that inmate. Okay? That is a situation where lethal force is not warranted. Okay? It is spelled out in black and white. It is spelled out in the use force policy. Excuse me. It is spelled out in the use force policy. I can clearly quote the Florida use of force policy on that. I know every time lethal force is justified. But it still comes down to, should you use lethal force versus could you use lethal force? Okay? In a situation where you could rather easily have accomplished the mission without the use of deadly force, you're going to have a hard time articulating that lethal force was the option you chose. If the mission could not be completed without the use of deadly force, you're going to have a little bit easier time compelling people to believe that it was the only course of action. Okay? It all falls down to good correctional judgment. Force is a last resort. I apologize, folks. I'm a little bit tired. Force is supposed to be used as a last resort after all reasonable non-force alternatives have been exhausted. Okay, it states that in policy. It also states in our policy that you are to use the least amount and type of force necessary to overcome the inmate's resistance. Okay? If the inmate is going over the outer perimeter fence, you don't have time to get people between the fence and peel him off of it. You have to do what you have to do. That is a situation where you can, or you should, use lethal force. Okay? That's universal. throughout the world, if an inmate is escaping, deadly force is authorized. Okay? Know the difference. But more than that, you've got to remember, correction staff are not the only ones that read your use of force report. Lawyers get a hold of your use of force report and they read it too. You've got to take into account your entire audience. Okay? That's all I got for this video. That's all I got. Remember, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233, this domestic violence hotline. Those are for the victims of domestic violence. Oftentimes for the aggressor in a domestic violence situation, the phone call you need to make is 911. But whatever you do, do something. The worst thing you can do is nothing. Alright? I'll see you guys in the next video.